Oh, the computer claims in the settings that it's there, but it doesn't work.
Hi, Mel. Hi, Bridget.
Good morning, ladies.
Hello, good afternoon.
Oh, yeah, I always forget that. Very flash. Halfway through your day.
Okay. I'm connected, but the station isn't on live yet. Looks like we've got a minute. Bridget,
What's your topic?
if you're saying hello, you better... I can't hear you yet. Check and see that your mics are good, or maybe go out and reboot back in.
You might need a headset.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mel, yes. But I can hear Kat and Mel. I can't hear Bridget. And I can't run Discord and Skype simultaneously on the same device. Otherwise, Bridget and I could run to Skype, but then we'd lose the chat room, and I don't want to do that. Actually, maybe we wouldn't lose the chat room. I've never actually... Yeah, we would, because they both want to hog the voice. Okay, it's now the time for the show, but the station hasn't quite connected yet. It's going to come on in a moment and tell me we're connected, and then I'm going to start talking. Bridget, say something when you get on, and then we'll see that we have you, but I don't know that I have you here yet. I sure wish the clocks on all these devices were in sync like they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Bridget, if you can hear me, if you can find where your friends list is, under pending, you should see a friend request from me so that I can message with you to help you troubleshoot your audio so that we can get your mic working.
Good morning. This is Steampunk Radio, and you're listening to Dr. Lenny Thyme, and the name of the show is The New Way. And what we're talking about is taking everything we knew, KNEW, and weighing it, WEIGH, and seeing if it still holds. What we have in the world now is life that is changing as we breathe. And so every breath you take, every move you make, there's somebody watching you. So today we've got a cast of characters to be on the show. Yesterday I did a monologue for 2 hours, and my I's were crossed and my T's were dotted by the time I was done with that. So today I've got Bridgette Dolgoff, who is a shaman, and she will be joining us in short order. And then I've got Amber, who is a mystic from across the pond, but she's not only a mystic, she's also a professional biologist and has a lot of good, neat things to talk about. And I've kat here, being the studio engineer and helping me try and clean up stuff. And I'm Dr. Lenny Thyme, a chemist who has no idea how the world works, but does know how the chemistry of the world works and tries to overlay the chemistry onto everything else. All right, now that we have done the intro to the show for all the listeners, Bridget, do I have you on? I do not. It doesn't seem like her mic is working. Okay. Amber, can I have your mic in?
Sure.
Good morning.
Hello.
How are you doing
Good
today?
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, this is from Britain. So we are at what, 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes, we are indeed.
How's the weather in Great Britain today?
Well, it's been nice the last couple of days because it's been overcast. We've had a little spot of rain. It's been very hot this month, unusually so, very unusually so. So, we certainly needed it. So it's been a nice reprieve the last couple of days, and the grass has got some moisture. Not enough, but it's got some.
I've
It's
noticed,
still warm though.
yeah, it's been very warm here and we have gotten very little rain. But I have noticed that early in the morning, I'm still getting dew in the grass. And I was sort of wondering
Hmm.
how that comes about because it's been dry, and yet it still seems that there's moisture that's created overnight that comes out right at sunrise.
Well, there's still a lot of moisture in the upper atmosphere, isn't there? Even when it appears very dry and hot. So when I would have said that when the temperatures are cooler, dawn and dusk, then a lot of that water is going to condense into um, water rather than water vapor, and that's when you're going to get dew. And like for example, in desert species, such as bearded dragons, they come from native desert areas. They never drink in the wild. They get all their moisture either from their food or from the dew. And the actual ridges on their skin is that the dew collects in those ridges, and the ridges are arranged such that it percolates down the ridges into their mouth. So even in very very hot areas, like in the Australian outback, where it virtually never rains, they still get sufficient moisture from the dew.
Okay. Yeah, I have noticed that water itself seems to come up in various places, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it seems to congregate on its own. I've got
Right?
yeah, I think that the respiration of the plants must provide some of the water, although no, that doesn't work. It goes the other way, doesn't it?
Yes.
Plants
Yeah,
use the
they
water.
use.
They don't respire
Yes.
water.
However, at night, plants do a kind of reverse photosynthesis. I think it's called dark photosynthesis. I'm trying to remember now back to my university days, but they do a kind of reverse photosynthesis in the dark hours. Um, I can't recall why that is. There's something that they get out of doing the reverse. And oh no, hang on, it's respiration, isn't it? So during the day they make the carbohydrates, and then during the dark hours they often use respiration like we do to utilize a carbohydrate. In which case, yes, one of the byproducts would be water.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because I noticed long ago that nighttime metabolism and daytime metabolism are not the same. It's something that I
Mm.
recognized with sleep because I was trying to correlate how sleep manages to recharge the body. And as a
Mm-hmm.
chemist, I realized that during the day when we're using our energy, it's mostly oxidation that is the
Yeah.
source of the energy. But for every oxidation, you get a reduction. And they
Mm-hmm.
have to be balanced in the number of electrons, not the number of oxidations and reductions. But in order to keep that balance, you have certain elements that act as cycles, like iron, whereas the iron 2 and the iron 3 oxidation states are so close to each other that it's really easy for iron to be in that either oxidation state. They're only a tenth of an electron volt per unit, And so that's so close to zero that the iron in your blood literally can be instantaneously oxidized to iron 3 and then pick up an electron from anywhere that has an electron at any potential to go, so it reduces back to iron 2 and is ready to work again. It's not quite how the hemoglobin works, because hemoglobin in the blood has 4 different irons per molecule, but for single molecule iron, iron's the most versatile metal in the body. Hey, I noticed that Bridgette is still trying to get in. Do we have you here yet, Bridgette? It seems not. Okay. Can you hear us now, Bridgette? I don't think so. Yeah, there's something in the computers that happened yesterday that is just making everything miscorrelated. From what I read, Google had a hiccup, and I'm not 100% sure that it was a Google hiccup or if it wasn't Microsoft saying that Google had a hiccup to shift blame, because a lot of other things happened also. But Google had a hiccup, and it seems to have reverberated through the entire social media, in that programs that are connected to Google have misfunctioned. And so we're having problems getting the switching and the things working right. I actually had to do some serious fussing with my 3 devices to get them all correlated. And whereas computer time is always synced, so that once you get onto the main computer flow, it syncs your computer with that main computer, that's not happening any longer. And so I've got 3 different devices all reading me 3 different times. Bridgette?
It's happening to me.
Okay. Good.
So
now.
That's strange, but I've heard that before. I've heard in the early days of me discovering and talking to people about the Mandela effect, I heard accounts of people who had clocks in different rooms, but these clocks were automatically updated to, the atomic clock or something along those lines. It weren't clocks you set yourself. And they would walk from one room to the other, and the time would be different between the different rooms, even though all the clocks were automatically updated.
Yes, the way that clocks work when they correlate to atomic time is through a cesium frequency. And this cesium frequency is a very constant beat. But it seems to me that if the Schumann resonance of the Earth can be shifting, that would change all the frequencies of the atoms on Earth. And so what we might be calling a constant frequency is continually shifting on a vibration that's like an in-breath and an out-breath.
Yes, I would like to know what the average Schumann frequencies are. I know they claim it's not changing because the base frequency isn't changing, but I'm not sure that that base frequency is the average. If it is an average, then the average must be changing because the range is changing, and so therefore the average must change, or median must change. So I can't see, so as far as I understand, the base cannot be a median or a mean. So therefore, despite their claims that the Schumann frequency is not changing, it all depends on your perspective. What data are you looking at? Are you looking at the base? Are you looking at the mean, the median, the range, the frequency? So many of those things are changing. It's just the base isn't, which has given them the legitimate option of saying, no, it's not changing.
Yeah. I find it very interesting the story that's told by Rupert Sheldrake during his band TED Talk about
Yes.
how the rate of the speed of light changed, and he went to an expert and said, "How is this possible?" And the expert smiled at him and said, "Well, we fixed it so that it's back to being constant." And I'm trying to think of how you can have variables that you can fix to create a constant. It just doesn't
Because
make sense.
they changed the unit of measurement. It's measured in meters, isn't it? So they did something to the unit of measurement, so, and the formula, so that used to determine, so that whenever, even though the speed of light is a variable, it is not a constant, because the formula was changed and it did something to the unit of measurement, it will always come out to be the same figure, even though it's not. In reality, it's not. It's a variable. It's not a constant.
Yeah, I truly believe that science is off base in the area of the analytical chemistry correlating with the theory that comes to be the explanation of how that works, because it should work just like they say it works if it works that way. And yet, time and again, I have found where it doesn't work that way. The Schumann resonance that everybody talks about is a series of frequencies. It's not a single frequency. The series of frequencies is related by a chord, CHORD, and the chord is a pattern almost like the keys on a piano, where you have the white keys and the black keys, and they're in different ranges. And so a normal Schumann resonance starts, I think it was like right around 8.1, and there's another one at 14.3, and another one in the low 20s, and then one in the high 20s, one in the mid 30s, lower 40s, upper 40s, mid 50s, and there's one at 59, because the Schumann resonance at 59, I have somehow attuned my body wavelength to. And so when electricity kicks on, which at the United States is at 60 hertz, I can hear it and feel it in my body that there's new electricity kicked on until it stop until my body starts resonating with the electricity when it kicks on. And
I thought that was quite normal to get a sense and hear electricity. Like, I know for me, for example, I cannot stand those. I've had it in the past, whereas where I used to live, we were next to like a substation, and it was constant. It was constant there. I could hear it all the time. Certain devices I could hear. And recently I have one of those phones that can do the contactless charging. And I tried some of those devices. I can't stand them because I can hear them constantly and I can feel them. It's like I can feel it hitting my skin. So I can't use them. They're awful things.
yeah, I'm at the point where I was turning off the electric power into my trailer at night so that I could sleep. But then the electric company did something different, and I no longer have to do that. All I have to do now is wait on a cat to decide whether it's going in or out. That could take 15 minutes until I step on its tail. Okay.
I don't know if those devices would help, but if any listeners are suspecting that they're getting adverse effects from the frequency of the electrical supply in their home, you can now buy E-Link is made by. You can buy a plug-in which you plug into any socket. I think one plug would do an average 3-bedroom house. You can plug it into any socket and it remodulates the frequency of the electricity flowing through your circuitry so that it's no longer allegedly an irritant or damaging to health or as damaging to health. They're only about £35 on Amazon, and they're quite recently been brought out because there used to be one on there a couple of years ago, and that was really expensive. It was much more expensive. It was double that price. But now E-Link have brought one out, and it's about £35. I keep intending to buy it, but I already use other devices that I've bought in the meantime, like Japanese technology that you can place onto your electrical devices that does the same thing per device, whereas this is a plug for the entire house.
Okay, that makes sense because that way it could mitigate stray energy into a frequency.
Currently unavailable. Please leave a message.
Okay, I just tried to call Bridgette on the phone and got a message that she couldn't answer. It just went to default. So the problem that we're getting is that where she's not connecting through the Discord, it's looping in the RTC. But that's what we have technology for, to mess us up and make it so that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I would love to figure out a way that from human scale we could take any function that happens in the world and recreate the model of that function so that it works for the humans involved in creating that function. And it's going to be something that totally isn't proper with the way things work now, because there's no profit to be made from the corporations because they're too far off of human scale. But if we could just tweak it so that any time a human is involved in spending their time on an effort, we have a way of measuring that time spent, not necessarily the unit of time, just a checkbox that said time was spent during this hour. Then an algorithm, something like a bot in Discord, could be set up to count people's hours and then assign them a value so that when they talk about giving everybody minimum support levels, the minimum support levels are then enhanced by any significant work that you do.
Yeah, there's schemes where I live called time banks, which run on the same principle. At least one in my city is quite successful, where they do exactly that. Everyone who registers, whatever, they swap skills. So if you need a shelf putting up, you can contact the time bank, see if anyone can put the shelf up for you. If they take an hour, they get like an hour's valued credit.
Hello, I've got you. Hang on. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Mel, can you hear Bridgette?
I can hear her, yeah.
Okay. I've now got Bridgette on the phone, I've got Mel on the tablet, and I've got Kat on the computer. How about that? 3 devices to get 4 people together when everybody should have a connective device. Okay, Mel and I have been talking. Yeah, we're in Discord and things are working and we can see you popping in and out. And I know how the Voice Connect works, and that's where you're having the problems, is that for some reason the connection isn't coming into the voice channel in Discord.
Right, it says the RTC connection is, stuck in a loop.
Yeah, and since I don't know what an RTC connection is, when I see that problem on my screen, I usually just reboot the tablet and it comes back and it's fine. So since you've rebooted 3 times now, that doesn't work.
thing is, like, more and more I see that, everything online, is being messed with. I mean, over the last month, I had to go to war with GoDaddy. Then you have to get those SSL certificates for your websites. Otherwise, Google blocks access to them because they're not secure. So you have to pay for that and go through a nightmare to get, your website secure. And just everything. There was just stuff that I had, and YouTube this week, they erased like half of my videos. Didn't think I was going to notice. So I had to call YouTube and I had to threaten them. And, the next day they actually returned my videos. But, it's just like, it's crazy across the web.
The corporations seem to have claimed ownership over humanity, and as long as we use the product of the corporations, it falls into their checkbox theory of tacit approval. But we need to develop...
Right, no, I totally get that. I totally get that, but I have to make a living.
Right.
I have to make a living at this point in time, which means that, I have to be in that system as well. Because if I can't eat, I basically live in my van. So,
right.
The thing is, like, if, I walked away from that whole system, like, I literally would be destitute living under a bridge.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I'm saying is that people like me who are out of the system need to come up with mechanisms to replace the system mechanism with something else that works before other people can actually be able to move into a different system. It's not that the old system is workable. It's not. There just is no other system that has been allowed to have the same function. That's something that started back with eBay. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the thing, there are lots of people that, are working on creating new systems. We have a lot of people on our show, on Revolution Radio, where, we're talking to people who are actually, creating, full new systems. And, kind of are alone, in some of the work that they're doing. Like the guy we had on Thrice from last week, he's trying to create, urban community centers, and he's got some people who are willing to throw down some, capital in order to do that, like in Illinois and in Michigan, because it's super needed, where they could grow food inside. They can support people in growing food and, changing systems and changing the education systems and providing, alternative place for people to, if they're an artist or if they're doing a cottage industry or something else, to have a space where they can actually make whatever they need to make and then be able to, get it onto the market, in an alternative way, basically, using the community. And so we have a lot of people like that. We have Greg, who is growing the native seeds. He'll find 10 or 15, native corn seeds that are ancient seeds, and he'll grow, keep growing out with that seed until he has enough that he can share with a lot of the native populations, and other people. And in the future, I'm going to be a grower for them for native seeds. So,
yeah.
There are a lot of amazing things that are going on. It's just, it's just not fast enough.
Yeah, and it will happen. It's more important to get it right than to get it fast. While you were off, I was having a conversation with Amber, who is in Great Britain, and she also does divination work and is sort of learning how to do divination. She reads tarot. So I'd like you and her to meet. She's a real cool person. Amber, you can mic on and say hello to Bridgette, and I'll let you and Bridgette have a conversation for a little bit.
Hello, Bridgette. Nice to meet you.
Hey,
I think I met you before last time.